Luden's just big brained them. That was it.
Yeah.
That's just it at the end of the day. Ludens are just supreme overlords of pure, and we should just all bow down to them. I'm going to be enjoying games later. That I just can't get over what I have witnessed. But what we are heading back to here, Jerry, is we're heading back to the top floor site, and hopefully this time, Atlas do a little bit better job of what of last time of what they were trying to do here. What they did was they sent off their hard breacher to rappel over the side and get rid of all the bandit batteries, etc., that were on the wall, and that was a bad decision, especially when the fact that you have a player like Kiki who was on the roam for FO12. He's doing a great job. He's already gained control of Cigar Shop and is going to dip straight out of there, because why would you keep map control?
I'm still just staggered. I've got to bring my brain back into the realm of the living here. Because that's where Ludens are. They are counting their lucky stars that they won that round. They are somehow ahead in this matchup, and well, they're going to keep hold of that. FO12 doing a bit of a tango on the stairs, just to make sure anyone that's peeking doesn't peek into a static person, but into a beautiful dance god. He's got that 1.5 on the LA. He's ready to peek this with the nade. He knows that there's a shield in place. Will roll all the way to Benji as he flees. Oh, can't quite connect with a peek. A very good one from Benji, but a much better angle held by FO12. That will find in the opening frag. Nutty, who's been so consistent throughout this game, grabs the 4th kill of the match. On to Gady. No more Valkyrie. No more C4s left on the lineup of the defense, and they're getting ready to execute.
Yeah, they certainly are. The diffuser is getting dropped cold as they would try to get through. Potentially that early placement of the diffuser could aid them though, because already we are seeing smoke canisters being wasted. He's going to get taken out. KK holding an angle in towards Freezer, knows there is a sledge there, heard the fact that there was the K-Bot going off. Atlantic's going to pick up Giobu. KK still trying to hold down this position. They need to pick up the diffuser soon. Proctor K shutting down Joe, and now with 30 seconds remaining, that's plenty of time to execute, but not enough time to get onto Proctor. A great frag onto Atlantic, and it's all up to the 2 remaining players of Ludens. 20 seconds left, and FO12 knows exactly where this player is. He knows exactly where Proctor K is, but Natty has to push through into towards Freezer. Doesn't pick up the smoke. The shotgun coming out. KK with the clutch wins it out for Ludens, and they press on from Atlas.
What a showing there from Ludens. Stupendous stuff from KK at the death as well. Brilliantly worked in that freezer position, using those toxic gas canisters, using the Vulcan shield, switching up weapons to deal with the oncoming threats. But Atlas, they got ahead of themselves in that round. They had a decent amount of control, and they went for a very early plant. Definitely not the way to do things. KK always going to swing that corner with a shotty, fire through the smoke, and, well, you could say it gets lucky, but it's a default plant spot, essentially, when the smoke's there. Very easily read into. And there just wasn't enough presence from the attackers deeper across the map to allow for that to happen. At least you want to be forcing them out of bathroom before you go for something like that, so that you have someone to challenge into freezer. There was none of that. Atlas just skipping a few steps, unfortunately. And it's an interesting turn of events, because a couple of rounds ago I was praising Atlas for the way that they read into the setup from Ludens and found its flaws and executed perfectly. That kitchen take was beautiful. The post plant was about as clean as you could possibly want. And I think besides that round, they haven't won a single one. It's an unfortunate flash in the pan for Atlas. They need to show a bit more consistency here. Maybe the tertiary site of reading and dining is where they can do that.
It really is a duality of Siege, to be honest. One round you could probably be hammering the best in the world, and then next round it really could look worse for wear, and that's exactly where Atlas are. They are really struggling to pick up rounds here, and Jerry, this is the thing though, like, we are seeing them do good things, but they just keep struggling, and I said that there was a resurgence of Atlas. They're going to need a resurgence in this game to actually even challenge for this top position that they're trying to get, and Luden's really looking in a comfortable position so far. Right enough, there has only been 4 rounds, but Atlas potentially worrying. But remember, when we get to the split, it's a different kettle of fish. But for now, They have to attack this tertiary site, and statistically, they are in favour Atlas to win this. But it requires a lot of coordination, and it requires a lot for them to do. And whether they do it is a different story, considering what we've seen in the past couple rounds.
I want to turn my attention to KK and just give them a bit of credit for a moment, because the first bar defense, he was on the Bandit, he was on the Roam, he grabbed the first couple of kills on the run out, and then the final one up red stairs. That defense, same defense, a bar, plays a smoke, also gets a 3k. Like, this guy's on fire no matter the role. And right now, flexing on to the Legion. I don't think it matters what gun you put in his hands, what utility he's carrying. He's going to do well. And if he's on one, he's on one. So, we'll be keeping a close eye on him. But anchoring up this round is going to be a bit later on that we see him spring into action. We already hit the 90-second mark. Proctor holding from deep inside this heavily fortified cocktail position with the castle barricades to assist them. No shield, however, to hold this position once it does come under siege. Benji there to try and hold against the white push, but Nati again with an opening frag, and this time on to KK. Very influential player caught out as a Legion. So 4 versus 5 in favour of the attack, and Atlas, they do have a chance here to try and send the bleeding in round count.
1 minute is left here, and there's still 4 players left for Ludens to hold down. The Roamers, they're still doing their job. FO12 though picks up Benji, and we do see Proctor K dropping back to site, so therefore Atlas can essentially do the work they need to do, but they don't have a lot of time to do it. They'll need to get a look towards this execute. Looks as if Ted Sachis is going to get aggressive on towards white stairs. Joe is doing some vertical pressure, but nothing yet to net anything from that. It looks as if they are going to look towards executing, but no, Proctor K in an off position. 25 seconds could really start to pick up frags. Why did he walk through the door? Just gives a free frag to Joe, and Giobo stuck low on white stairs. They need to get this diffuser down soon, as Joe is looking to do this. 15 seconds left. Giobo with a lot to do. SMG 11 in hand, looking to see if he can pick up the first frag. Atlas could easily make this work, but Giobo has decided to opt to go and retake upstairs. This could be a good idea, considering that usually there is a player up here but no one to meet him. He can use the vertical poles against the attackers that have made them, but no one can be found. They've vacated this position, they've vacated everywhere, still on towards site, but finally the first tracers have begun, and look at that. NSJ Sauce picking up that frag onto Giobu, shutting him down and making sure that Atlas are 1 round away from making it an even split.
Yeah, solid attack there from Atlas, but certainly not perfect. There are some things that they still need to be doing. I'm surprised at the death. Look over on the utility side of things. You've got 3 attackers up, 1 defender. Nati being one of those attackers as a Nomad still has 2 air jabs in pocket. Now that's odd. Surely,
yeah,
it's part of the execute. You maybe stick one at the top of white stairs and suddenly, you know, Jobu's retake is virtually impossible. Or you have them in pocket for the post plant and you spread them out. Like, why not use them? It's very strange. Maybe it just came down to the fact that Nati might have been like holding a angle at some point, didn't want to give away his position in the 3 versus 1. But either way, it's puzzling. It's not speaking to a very organized way of operating among Atlas. And they grabbed 2 rounds, but it's mostly been off Luden's mistakes, and I don't think that they can be relying on that too much, because they're making mistakes of their own and they're throwing rounds of their own as well. This is a very, very messy game of Siege, and I hate to be a kind of negative analyst, because I do like to highlight the positives, but it has felt like a lot of the time it's teams losing rounds rather than teams winning them. I want to see someone, like some team step up, not just KK, because he's been fragging heavy, but I want to see a team step up and operate really, really effectively as a unit. I don't think we've seen that yet in this cafe.
No, I certainly have to agree with you there. Another thing that I want to say is the fact that we saw, I think it was Proctor K that was on the Jaeger last round, and he picks up that frag onto the Ayana. He could essentially just stall out that whole push after getting that pick, because then they've got to try and figure out where he's went, where he's gone, if that phantom pressure, but he reloads and walks through the door, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So therefore, just gets picked up and gives a freebie away to Atlas. As you said, there's a lot to be worried about here, and the fact that the Jaeger is something else to be worried about, but he's not looking round his back, looking round his shoulder, and Atlantic picking up a freebie.
Yeah, that is a real freebie for Atlantic. Just not quite keeping their finger on the pulse there, Ludens. They had someone very extended in terms of their positioning, and no read on the fact that Yana had been sneaking up around Cocktail. Despite the fact that that default cam was still up, just managed to sneak into position and grab the frag for free. So Ludens do try extending on their defense, which they have needed to do, and it doesn't pay off. But Proctor at least taking down Nati. No more Nomad, and I don't think that Atlas had got into positions to get those air jabs off effectively, at least not all of them. And form would dictate perhaps that it takes a bit of time for Nati to get those air jabs out in general. But the main point is we've got a 4 versus 4, and the Sledge can start wrecking house literally above the kitchen, making it difficult for KK to stay in here, but he will choose to do so. As the push starts to come down towards Brown Bar, Atlantic having full control of this area. Sashi is now looking to get that hard breach off onto the freezer wall and start to mount a push. They do need to be worried about the coat check player and, of course, Proctor holding a long angle from Wedding. But if they just funnel enough bodies through freezer, then they could have a decent push going.
Yeah, certainly. Maybe KK has just been doing so as fundamentals as Gady actually picks up Atlantic there. So, with this being the case, it looks as if there's going to be a couple of refrags, or at least one refrag coming through, but NSJ Sauce has been put very low in HP. Ted has got control of the site here. Sachi's, he's just looking and making sure that it doesn't get given away here. Atlas, they need to rally around him, make sure there is this overwatch position, but no, the diffuser is going to get dropped deep in towards site. Atlas could have already thrown this round, and look at this, the long angle being held by KK. NSJ Sauce nowhere near. He's holding down the corridor. FO12. He's trying to see if he can pick up the rest of these players on towards site, but can't find anybody. That Melusi charge will give away his position. NSJ Sauce has picked up Gady. Proctor K got aggressive onto FO12, but no, Joe can't find the last player, and looks as if Ludens make it a 4-2 split.
Joe, again, dropping freezer and getting 2 kills at the death, but it doesn't matter because that hold was just about enough from the Ludens to seal the win. And that is important for them because 4-2 on the defense is pretty much 4 par on Cafe. It's what you need. It's what you expect. Now the switch. It's going to be a tough one. But like I said, I didn't see too much that impressed me in that half. I want to be impressed. I'm here to be impressed by these incredibly talented players. But time and time again, we get a whiff of, you know, the occasional mechanical blubber. A key example, for instance, being at the death, the player that had the diffuser trying to set it down in the hard cover of Coffee, but not quite looking at the Melusi Banshee for long enough for it to open up, and then being caught out, you know, trying to cover their back. It was just a bit unfortunate to see. Like, you know that that's nerves, because that's not something that a player of these of this caliber, like players that are good enough to compete competitively, will do. Like, they know how to destroy a Banshee. It's just very unfortunate. I don't think either team has kind of like clicked. There are a few players that are popping off. You can see just on the stats who those are, but it's still messy. I wonder, I'm really hoping whether on the split, this is going to be a different game. I want it to be a game of do halves. I really do. I want to see some really nice siege. And this setup, to be fair, from Atlas, looks like they know what they're doing. Looks like they have this kind of preparation there. And it's just a case of whether they can execute it cleanly or not.
Well, no, he's just missed out on picking up that freebie. Potentially, if he had the Roni instead of the MK14, he would have been able to pick that one up. He decides to go for another spawn peak, potentially a run out there, but it looks as if Ludens are kind of taking their time with this push so far. Benji's holding a long angle through on towards Garage. Sachi's picking up that run out, as I was talking about previously. Small bakery picking up Gady as well. I said potentially an MK14 wasn't the right choice, but it seems to be after those 2 frags.
Yeah, the long angle's working in favour of Sachi's there with the DMR in his hands. Also, still a little bit of HP to do as he likes, but it will be smart to retreat back to site, knowing that they have the man advantage, knowing that Ludens have gained very little control. They've got Joku prone inside a piano, but that's about it, and very little foothold in this round. It's going to be taking quite a bit to turn it round for the attackers. He's just waiting for someone to join him at this point. It's going to be Proctor to try and swing into that piano window and offer some assistance, but FO12 has an angle to try and contest this. As soon as he hears that swing, then he can peek, and it's going to be very difficult for the Ash to do much about it. They do have a read on one player. This is what you have to do if you're Ludens. Isolate people, get picks. Atlantic by himself right now, but the problem is Ludens perhaps a little bit too far to do anything about it for the time being. Ooh, Nasi crossing the road without checking his left and right does take some damage, but is still okay. And Benji finally joins the rest of his team. After about 45 seconds of separation, they are reunited and can try and take a 3.
Atlantic just whiffing his shots there on towards the new balcony area, where I believe that was Benji that was taking that engagement, but Proctor K does pick out Natty. So far, they'd have a little sign of life, but that life has slowly dwindling away as we do see the swing come out. And NSJ Sauce picking up that frag, the Legion doing his bit to work in, and so is Atlantic taking out that player on small balcony. Oh, sorry, see, small balcony, new balcony, second time, and there we go. Looks as if Atlas, they have answered back, and it's 4-3.
That was not an exciting round by any stretch of the imagination, was it? There's only so much we can do. There's only so much we can do. Yeah, that was just textbook from Atlas, really. They gained an early advantage and then they sat back. Very, very nice stuff from Sash. He's a little bit flashy at the start from him, so nice to see that. But it was almost a foregone conclusion with the way that Ludens were operating there. They just didn't really get themselves into position to take any fights. And you've got to take some fights to win. It was a rough run for them. They're going to be glad to see the back of that bar site as we go now down to presumably a kitchen defense. I'm saying presumably because I can't see. Okay, there we go. There it is. It's definitely kitchen. All right.
Well, the fact of the Valkyrie, who normally gets banned out on this map, you said previously, kind of hinted towards it, the fact that Valkyrie's kind of main staple of bans right now, because, well, Siege, it's an information game. She has 3 extra cameras to look towards spots that aren't really covered by defaults, and also on top of that, defaults get destroyed, so they can really cover and give good information towards these defenders. But she has been brought out on this map, NSJ Sauce, being able to add to the information economy of Atlas. It'll be interesting to see how that comes about, how that potentially aids the roamers, or aids, but a late push. Maybe C4s could reign above if Ludens decide to go as a vertical take. That is kind of almost default in some cases for teams. They really feel comfortable doing that to clear out these roamers, because again, on Cafe, is the verticality can really catch players off guard, especially on the bottom floor site. Already we're seeing Atlas getting aggressive here, but they're going to get punished for it as Saches gets taken out straight away.
That's what you want if you're Ludens. An early pick, something to give yourself a bit of morale, because that last round just is going to be hurting them in the mental game. But good one, a good pick onto Kaid. One of those C4 building operators as well. You still got a couple in the hands of Joe and FO12. They are in these extended positions, however. Of course, a kitchen defense, you don't necessarily need to be defending the top floor, but Atlantic is having none of that suggestion. He wants to fight for every inch. They are aware of his rough position, though, as you see those bullets come through the wall. Doesn't have the hatch behind him open, so if Proctor gets into position quickly, then he can cut off the retreat down White Stairs, and this could be very difficult for Atlantic. I'm pretty certain that hatch wasn't open. He could be calling for the reinforcements. KK does take out Nati, who is trying to help him out, but Atlantic is good enough to swing on the white player. However, Proctor is there to catch the refrag. So a very profitable early round here for Ludens. The only thing that concerns me is perhaps the drone economy. 90 seconds left, not too many remaining. All of them already sent out. So it might be a tough job to locate these final 2 defenders. They do have C4s in pocket, so they'll want to be using those fairly aggressively, if you ask me, trying to get a pick onto a player working the mining floor or something. But Then again, they could hold it for a plant denial situation. It's their call. They have a lot of options, but lots of time to have to burn if Ludens get their move on soon.
Yeah, this is true, but another thing that we need to talk about here, Jerry, is the fact that while they don't have a lot of drones left, they don't really need a lot of drones to cover flanks, etc. Because in the grand scheme of things, the two remaining players will probably and most likely decide to just hold site like they're doing just now. FO12 got aggressive and got shut down fairly early, so it is going to have to be a 4K clutch here from NSG Sauce, and well, he'll need to find at least one frag, and one frag he won't find. He'll be the one that's going to get found out, and Ludens push forward and make it 5-3.
A clean roam clear and a great collapse right there. Ludens, they did exactly what they needed to in the 4 versus 2. They stacked up. They made sure that they weren't taking 1v1s, that they were going in with the ability to refrag. And they didn't even need that. It was clean. They didn't lose a single body, bar the first one that we saw Atlantic claim on the top of White Stairs.
Yeah.
That's a solid one. 5-3, the scoreline. They totally earned it after that round. And now they're only a couple of attacking rounds away from a victory here, but Atlas, they still have plenty of options. Of course, they don't want to go back to, they can't go back to Bar. So they're bringing the Frost. Is that being 6 picked away? Again, my feed is deciding that the bottom half of my screen is less important. There we go, 6 pick to 1 Mai from Nasi, as they do actually stick on the kitchen defense. And I'm not quite sure what the Frost is supposed to kind of hint at, because it's not like a staple part of any setup on this map, but at the same time, maybe it's just forcing Ludens to, look down every now and then. Like, if you imagine someone playing inside of Kochek, for example, a defender, and if it's not droned out properly and you see that Frost in the pick phase, you're maybe not as confident just jumping that window and trying to take the pre-fire onto a defender there as you would be.
Yeah.
Because there could be a mat under your feet.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, there is a few positions that Frost could really start to creep up on players. I think it was. Do you know what? When I think about Frost and Navi, Frost and Cafe, I think of Navi when I think they played against BDS for the first time in stage. It was either stage 1 or a pretty previous stage from last season, and they kind of brought Frost, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, why are they bringing Frost?" And when they tried to break it down with, I believe it was Doki or someone else, they said the reason why they brought it was because Frost had a 1.5 in a shield. Literally, there wasn't even like any strategy for it. But anyway, so far it looks as if Legends are going to do the exact same thing as last time, with meeting the exact same presence as well as well, maybe not. Atlantic deciding to drop off, and maybe he's going to try and contest the new balcony area where people would commonly drop down onto.
Yeah, it's a good option. Atlantic has seen some success from this position, as we saw on the Bar defense. That was really just a win more scenario, though. In that previous round, of course, on the top floor, Rome, he did manage to grab the only kill for Atlas. So clearly doing something right on the Rome. It's just unfortunate that Atlas aren't able to capitalize on those advantages, and maybe committing a bit too much to trying to save him in these situations. Atlantic does win that gunfight, finding the head before another bullet can connect with the Jaeger's body. Important that, as he now sits only on a couple of HP. Giobu, though, ready to collect. And now 4 versus 4. Unfortunate there. Really, Atlantic didn't have much option at all. He was pretty much trapped in the box and could have maybe held an angle, but eventually he would have been droned out. Maybe wasting time could have been more valuable, but either way, Atlas now, they're waiting. They are playing the waiting game. They have their TV utility stacked on site. They know that Ludens have, well, they've been effective on these kitchen attacks, and really that's because last time round it was a 4v2 in this situation. Maybe with the bodies on site, Atlas can have a different story.
I think there's a little bit of BM there from Giobu shooting into the body of Atlantic, because he has been such a thorn in the side of Ludens. And, well, the thing is, though, Ludens are looking to be the thorn that keeps on picking away at Atlas. It looks as if there was great positioning taken up there by Proctor K, being able to hold down into Small Bakery as well. Yep, moving up, trying to maybe contest FO12. I think he has some information as he's reacting to this position of the Ash. Obviously, that explosion will give away his position, so we'll have to see if they do decide to push through. The Claymore being set so that no one can push through. But remember, we do have a rotate, so I mean, it could easily be a bit of a misplacement, but we'll need to see. And as things start to slow down, there is 20 seconds left. We need to see Ludens push through in towards Atlas's site, but it's going to be the first initial frag picked up. 10 seconds left. There needs to be something happening. It needs to happen soon. Looks as if they're trying to push through the back of site. The diffuser goes cold. This could potentially be the thing that wins Atlas the round, as two players just play passive and win it for Atlas. 5-4. They win it on the second time of asking, and you can't help but feel that one my play was absolutely huge.
Yeah, just staying alive inside a bakery. Really, I mean, that wasn't the Wamai, but the Malusi managed to hold down that position for so long and stymie any sort of prep push. And then, of course, the Wamai playing close on the freezer door. Like, that's worked so many times on these defenses for both sides. It's just being a bit of a corner creep and waiting for the push to come and then just swinging on whoever's gun barrel shows up first. It's worked very nicely. And, yeah, time again, they're the enemy for the attack. Ludens just couldn't really get a foothold without the the 2-man advantage that they had in the previous round. So yeah, we've seen some very sort of back and forth play, I should say. Like, no team has looked more dominant on any given site. The only sort of consistency so far is that Ludens are winning on the top floor defense. Like, top floor defenses are basically impenetrable. There hasn't been a top floor attack win yet. So with that in mind, you can pretty much assume that Atlas will get another round next, right? They can go to bar, so we're probably going to get tied up at 5-5. And then what happens? They've got to go to reading, and then kitchen. Like, those are coin flips so far. It's going to be a tough one, I think, for Atlas to close out, but. And that's knowing that they should win this next round, like, statistically so far.
Well, Jerry, I'm going to ask you this. Who do you think is going to win it? Obviously, you've gave us a caster curse, so Ludens are going to win this next round, and then we go to the coin flip round, the coin flip site. So the question is, who do you think is going to win this matchup?
I think Atlas kind of have it, maybe. Just the fact that they're on defense, they have this round up here on bar now, and I expect them to take a couple of these rounds. If they don't, and it goes to overtime, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm fairly certain that they've picked defense first on overtime, so that should give them a bit of an edge as well. So yeah, right now, despite the fact that they're down a round, Atlas look all right, and that's difficult to say, because there have been some blunders. Don't get me wrong, there have been some real blunders from Atlas. There have been some real blunders from Ludens as well. But, yeah, they're still putting it together. They have lost rounds that they absolutely should have won. I'm thinking, for instance, the Joe team kill.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for that, then I'd be saying, performance-wise, they're well ahead. So,
yeah.
It's got to be Atlas in my mind. But, again, Ludens, they have that round advantage. So, they only need 2. That's all they need.
Yeah, they do only need 2, and well, there's still plenty to go in this matchup so far. I mean, at the same time, Atlas could easily sneak this back and win it, but they do have to do almost a perfect rotation if that is to be the case. And well, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but it certainly has been a bit worrying. I believe Ludens decide to teabag on top of the roof. I don't know why, but they are certainly wasting time here, because you're 2 minutes into you're a minute into this round so far, and you have so much work to do on this top floor site, especially with the fact that you need to clear Pixel, try and do enough work so that you can pressure on towards site, try and displace defenders, try and get this plant down, and especially the fact that you waste almost 30 seconds getting up to the roof alone. It really can be a rough round.
There's a lovely little bit of tech there by KK that I want to highlight, just because there's people watching that may want to employ this in their ranked games or whatever. We saw an air jab go out from that red hatch down towards the red stairs, put it in the corner by the vase, and then shot out the vase. What he's doing that for is to provide some actual visual cover for the air jab, so that it's not as visible for any defenders that want to try and do a quick heads up and then shoot the air jab. It's very, very difficult when you can't see it. It still triggers as well. Although he has landed it, unfortunately, slightly high on the wall, so it's not actually covered by the debris. But you can see what he was going for. We've got now this top floor push coming into effect, and the Flores drone's doing some mighty fine work. We want to say this is the first time we've seen him utilize in this round, and FO12 will take a fair chunk of damage from his own Vulcan shield. Now that wasn't very wise. Had the opportunity to get away, maybe just didn't expect the radius of the flame to be quite as substantial as it was. That said, he's still up. Attackers have bathroom control, and there is an opportunity for a plant here. There's one player inside of the freezer, and that is Sashis, who will take out Proctor. Benji going down elsewhere means it's effectively a 3 versus 4 as Gady shuts out Atlantic. Now 4 versus 4. Oh, Joe playing very close to this bar. This could be a huge line of sight that could make a massive difference when it comes to the execute. 20 seconds left, Cairo.
20 seconds left and the plan is to go down soon, but the bullets are going through the players' bodies as we see plenty of players being dropped to the floor. 10 seconds left, but 2 players to actually do the work. It looks as if KK is going to get dropped, but it is a trade. And Giobo confirming the plan. 45 seconds now restarted. But remember, Joe and FO12 are the 2 men left to find these last 2, or essentially last frag left. As we see, Giobo has taken up position in towards Freezer. They're waiting to see, potentially Joe waiting for his reinforcement of FO12 to push through. But do they know exactly where the player has left or player has went? Giobo has rotated through Cocktail, finds 1, finds 2! Giobo with a clutch, pushing Ludens straight on to that match point. Jerry, the caster cuss is true.
A beautiful play there. That was a clutch that shouldn't have happened. Well done, Jobu, in the 1 versus 2. So, yeah, I have cursed them. Atlas, that is the first bar defense loss that we have seen. And it's on your name. You don't want that. You need to be securing these top floor defenses now more than ever. And it is now. They are going for that top floor. They have to make it work. Otherwise, they drop 3 potential points. And that could be devastating at this stage in the season. So, the Flores, again, being 6-picked by Gady. This was so effective in that last round. No response, no real counter to it being put up by Atlas. Mute Jam is just not present, and those Vulcan shields were easy pickings for him. They've got the Clash on board this time round just to kind of help with that stall factor. And the Valkyrie again, providing plenty of intel. But I don't know. It was, the Aruni was a good call. Honestly, I'm surprised that they're dropping her in favor of a Clash. It felt more like poor positioning cost them than anything there. And Ludens, they have a chance here to do something about it.
I thought when NSJ Sauce was just holding down into Freezer, I thought what was happening was FO12 was getting ready to walk through the other door, and then they were just going to swing at the exact same time and try and pick up that frag. And
are you getting a black screen?
Yeah, I got a black screen.
Right. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of a tech issue here on our end, ladies and gents. Not entirely sure if this is what... it seems like it's an issue from our observer's end, so unfortunately you are probably experiencing this issue as well at home. At least it's happening in the early stages of a round. There's probably not much happening. It's a top floor defense. We got to see the operator lineup as well, and the lack of the Aruni, which is, again, surprising, because it was providing protection for those shields, for instance. Those shields, though, were taken down by by Flores drones. So I would have been... I'm surprised that we're not seeing a mute pick, quite honestly, to try and counter that, or even a Mozzie.
Yeah, that is really interesting, and something that we could say is, I just want to call it here, I think it will be Atlas that actually win the next 2 rounds and we do go overtime, just because you've gave us a caster cost. I can just see it happening where somehow Atlas bring it back, especially the fact they have to revisit the top floor site, and then it's like a coin flip of which site to choose next, and then on top of that, it's just like, I don't know, I'm very much, I believe in like the kind of like semantics of karma, etc., and caster curses, and I can genuinely just see it happening.
Yeah, they are powerful. it can influence the round. Of course, we are very powerful people. We actually abuse our power as casters to influence the round, to make sure that things happen that we want to see.
Yeah.
And we're all very well aware of the caster curse, in fact, and we just use it to our advantage so that games can be more exciting or that teams can win. I like certain people in these teams, and I want them to do well. So I'll just say that they're about to die, and then they get a 4K. That's how it works. That's what we do.
It's definitely people have tried to bribe us in the past to use our caster curse to their advantage.
Yeah,
but
plenty of people make prediction. I think Wild in UKIN asked Fresh never to predict them, or maybe it was Kavana. A lot of people asked Fresh never to predict them because his predictions curse teams.
Seriously?
So, yeah, like.
Wait! Actually, this is something that I never got to ask you. Did you end up on top of the UKIN predictions?
Oh, I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, I think I did. I think I'm tied with Demo actually.
Right, okay.
I'm not 100% certain. I can look that up, but yeah, that was a very proud moment of mine. So we do actually have an update for you in terms of the game. Unfortunately, we weren't able to witness that final round, but it was the final round, and Ludens grabbed a 7-4 victory, as you may have seen briefly on the screen just there, as pixelated and barcoded as it may have been. So, congratulations to Ludens, and 3 straight rounds at the end. 2 straight rounds at the end on Bard defenses. I think we actually saw that it was going to be a Bard defense. So, that's Ludens. Like, they just turned it round on Bar. Like, I didn't expect that.
No, I didn't expect that either. But at the end of the day, it's a double caster curse for us, Jerry. I think that matchup was a good matchup. But I don't know, there was just a few things that were worrying. I think the best summation of it potentially was the fact that we saw Joe drop that freezer, get 2 great kills, and then decide to pick up a third but onto the wrong player. Probably is a good summation of that match.
Yeah, that is pretty much that map all over. Like it was scrappy, it was messy. Ludens grabbed the points that they needed at the end of the day. I think that pushes them up to second place. It pushes them up to first place temporarily, which is quite something. On 15 points, and Atlas still struggling down in 7th spot with 10 points. So far today, it's been the highest seeded teams winning. My question is whether that will continue into the next match, which is going to be Man I Love Frogs, our favourite acronym in the league, and Poggy Woggy, both sitting at the bottom, 9 points and 6 points respectively. And well, with Triton and Combat Wombats with Triton and Atlas having just lost, this is a real opportunity for either of them to close that gap. Man I Love Frogs possibly even to leap both of them. But we will throw to a fairly short break just so that we can get our observing issues sorted out and make sure that the final match is brought to you in all its glory. So do not go far.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind when we rewind. Feels so nice. With time, you I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. You do. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. We've been dancing all night long, right here with you way too long. Don't want nothing here or now, but I'm done waiting, done wasting my time. Got this sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Badass University All-Stars Playday number 15, our second last week of games, and we are here with the final match of our broadcast today between the two bottom sides in the standings right now, Poggy Woggies and Man I Love Frogs. I'm Jerry the Music Man as always. This is Cairo to my other side, my left, he's over there and he's really good at this stuff, which is a real shame. Because we've just gotten some really bad news from our producer. Unfortunately, this game between Poggies and Frogs has been forfeit. Cairo.
That's absolutely huge in the standings, though, Jerry, forfeiting a match like that.
We don't know who.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so place your bets, everyone. Who forfeit the game? Is it Poggy Woggies or is it Frogs? My personal thought is that it would have been, and I'm not looking at the Discord chat right now, I think it's probably Poggy Woggies that forfeit because they had struggle last week. They forfeit their most recent game.
Yeah,
so they have form for forfeiting.
I think that all but confirms. I think that confirms PW till they don't have a chance to now get out of that.
We don't know who it is that's won. We still don't know.
Yeah, I know.
We just know there's a forfeit. We just don't know in which direction. So, like, nothing confirms anything. Someone's getting 3 points. Someone isn't. This is limbo. What are we doing?
This is a disaster. This is that people must be sitting in anticipation.
I know. This is really sort of tense, isn't it? I've never been kept in the dark this long. But like knowing that it's a forfeit and not knowing whose it is, I think it might be Poggy Woggies that lose. It might be their forfeit.
Yeah, I kind of hope that Frogs forfeit, so Poggy Woggy go up 3 points, and then it's like a 3-way
that would be
stalemate.
dramatic.
Yeah, that would be super dramatic. I'd love that. But whether that is the case, I don't know. Oh, there we are. We've got the confirmation through, Jerry. We have the confirmation. Do you want to tell everybody?
My prediction was correct. It is Poggy Woggies that have forfeit this match. Unfortunately for them, 2 forfeits in a row. That's not a good look. But Frogs, they get a free win. That is pretty big for them, considering they were sitting in 9th with 9 points. They've just seen Triton and Atlas both lose in regulation, gain no points today, and now Man I Love Frogs, who were just behind those 2 teams, leapfrog all the way up to tied. No, they're in 4th. They've just been put in 4th. It do be like that sometimes.
Well, what can we say? I mean, I think that another interesting thing that we need to say here is that is now PW. They have nothing to play for now. Unfortunately, I don't believe they can actually get up. No, they can't, because I mean, technically they can if they were to win. No, wait, no, I'm talking nonsense. I'm absolutely waffling. That's them. They're out. That's the season over.
That is it. Because they're just behind Triton, who are now in 9th, who have 9 points, and Triton have the head-to-head. So they will end bottom. They don't even get a chance of getting playoffs. They end bottom of the table, which is a real shame. But I suppose that's what happens when you forfeit a couple of games. It's a real shame as well, because Poggy Woggies, I was ready to tell their story. They've had a wonderful start to the season. They won their first 2 games, and they looked excellent, and since then it's just been downhill. It's strange because Frogs have a similar story in a strange way, but they have been gifted this 3 points, and now actually sit in a position where they could feasibly not only make playoffs but actually the top 4, which is pretty massive for a team that has been so up and down. They're sitting now with 4 wins and 4 losses statistically, obviously this one being a free one.
But well, Jerry, on that note, I guess we now have to sign off with everything that's went on today. We've had a massive day of, well, I guess I'd say it's upsets, but it's the higher seeds that have always won. I was hoping for a couple upsets, but that's not going to be the case. So with that, it's time for us to sign off.
It is.
I've been Cairo.
Sure...
Sorry, no, I was going to say
come back tomorrow because we got actual
Yeah.
games tomorrow, right? Like, you know, you don't want to end it like this. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. But another
Deviant's
thing is,
Veggie, Deviant's Veggie, IOM 9, they're good.
Yeah.
They're going to be fun. It's going to be both me and you as well, so we don't.
yeah,
we don't-
exactly. I was just gonna say to get all the people excited, it is me and you that's casting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
We get to have a proper ending to the
Yeah.
stream, which would be nice.
well,
Yeah.
after all the difficulties today, make sure that you come back tomorrow and watch some more University All Stars, play it out, and see what the last play day is actually going to look like. But for now, I've been Cairo. This has been Jerry. This has been Badass University All Stars, and we'll see you back tomorrow.